By your dress, you are a Muslim, as I am. There are no Muslims in this city. Sit down and tell me your story." And Qamar sat down beside the old man, and he related his sad story, how he had lost his beautiful wife and the bird who had taken his stone. And, "Oh, that is truly an amazing story," said the old man. "There are no Muslim cities near here. The only one is far away, and you must get there by ship. I cannot see how you got here on foot. The ship that might take you there has just left. They only come once a year." "Oh," said Qamar. "Stay with me," said the old man. "Work in the orchard. Wait the year, and then you will surely go and find your wife." Qamar could see no other plan. So he worked for the old gardener. He hoed the grounds, and he pruned the trees, and he carried water. And every night he lay down in the little shed where he slept and wept for his lost wife. But what of Princess Budar? She awakened. She found her clothes disheveled, and the stone was missing. "Oh, Qamar must have taken it, but where is he? He cannot bear to be from my side for even a few minutes." And she stuck her head out of the tent, and she looked, and she did not see her husband. But she did see these strong, fierce men staring at her. She said, "Where can he have gone? And he has taken the stone, and he does not know its magical properties. If I tell these men that my husband is gone, they will become emboldened with me, and they will send me back to live in the harem of my father. No, I must press on and find my husband." So you remember that they looked identical. So she put on her husband's clothes. She wound his turban round her head. She stuck her head out the door and called for the litter to be brought forward, and put the maidservant in the litter. Then she went out, called for the horse, mounted it, and told the men to pack up and get ready to move. She rode at the head, with the litter far in the back, looking always to see if perhaps her husband was coming back across the plains. He must be on foot, for no horses were missing. And they rode day after day, and Princess Budar could not think what had happened to her husband. They camped one night outside of a fine city with many tall towers. And the king of that city sent out an emissary to see who had this grand encampment in these beautiful silken tents. And the emissary came back and said, "It is a prince from a foreign land. He has lost the road, and he is the handsomest man I have ever seen." The king of that city invited Princess Budar, disguised as her husband, to a feast. And the more he talked to the young man, the more he liked him. And finally he patted his hand and he said, "I am an old man. I have not been blessed with sons, but I have a daughter, Hayat al-Nusaf, who is your equal in beauty. She is an innocent and pure girl. I would like you to marry her." "Ooh," said Princess Budar. She could not now tell the king that she was a woman disguised as a man, for if he did not kill her, her men would. She could see no other course. So she married the princess. And they had a grand wedding. It was the wedding of their dreams. And on the wedding night, Hayat is there in the bridal chamber. And Qamar, as she thought he was, went in and began to say his prayers. Before he did, he kissed his wife lightly between the eyes, and then he began to pray. And he prayed, and he prayed, and he went on and on and on until Hayat fell asleep. And when he was sure she was asleep, Princess Budar climbed into bed with her and got up quickly the next morning and went to the royal audience room where he took on the role of king. And he made wise judgments, and he relieved the merchants of tariffs, and he settled disputes, and everyone said, "Yes, we are lucky with this new king." Now the second night went much as the first. He said his prayers, and he prayed, and he prayed, and he prayed, and Hayat thought she had never seen anyone as pious as her new husband. And when she fell asleep, Princess Budar climbed into bed with her. Now, after the second night, Hayat's mother came to her and said, "So, how was it?" And Hayat told her what had happened, that her husband, though beautiful and certainly pious, had not touched her. And the mother was very upset that the marriage had not been consummated. And when she told the king, he was even more upset that his daughter was being neglected in such a way, and said, "I do not care how beautiful that young man is. If this marriage is not consummated by the third night, I will take him off the throne and send him back to his country." And on the third night, after Princess Budur had had another day of settling disputes and reading the law with the merchants and the townspeople, the wedding chamber was lit with soft candles. Incense was burning. Hayat was dressed in a beautiful gown. She stood before her husband and she said, "I do not say this to make you desire me, for I think that is a hopeless cause. I did not know that all beautiful people were so self-centered. I only tell you this because my father said that if the marriage is not consummated by tonight, he will take you off the throne and send you back to your country." Princess Budur thought, "Can I trust this girl? Can I tell her my secret?" And she could see no other way out. So she told her story. And she told her how she was married to Qamar, and what a beautiful man he was, and the long separation they had had before it. And she told the story in such a moving way that Hayat began to weep with her, and swore that she would keep her secret locked in her heart, to which there was a key that only she had. And the two young women embraced and slept that night, and in the morning they killed a rock dove that was outside the window, and Hayat spread the blood of the dove on her thighs, and when her mother came in, oh, she was relieved, and there was much ululating and joy, and flowers strewn before her. Things went on like this. The princess sitting on the throne, and the two princesses spending the nights together for months and months. And as for Qamar, he was working in the orchard, in the olive orchard for the old man, and weeping over his lost wife. And one day when he was relaxing under a tree after a hard morning, he saw two birds come having a vicious fight. In fact, one of them pecked the head off the other and then flew away. Two other birds came, and they stood beside the little body in every aspect, looked as if they were mourning, and they scooped out a little grave and pushed the body into it and patted it down and flew away, and in a short time came back harrying the first bird between them, and they killed the aggressor bird and laid him over the grave as if it were a grave offering. Qamar was amazed at this strange behavior in the birds, and when the birds had left, he went over to look at the body. There was something red and glistening in the little body, and when he took it out, it was the red gem. "Ah," he said, this must be a sign that I am to be reunited with my wife." And that day when he was hoeing and working with particular vigor, his hoe made a strange clunk on the ground. And when he scraped the dirt away, he found a trap door. And when he opened it, underneath there was a chamber, and there were 50 jars full of gold. Oh, he said, who could have buried this? And he brought them out one by one, and he offered to share them with the old gardener. But the gardener said, "No, you may need this money to get back to your wife, for the ship is almost due to arrive." For it had been about a year that Qamar had been there. News was brought to them that the ship was coming, and Qamar said, "I must take my leave of you. I'm going to take the gold and put a layer of olives over it so that I may ship them safely." So he took the first jar and he put olives, and then he sealed the jar. And in the second jar he thought, "I will put the red gem, for you never know." He laid it on top of the gold and covered them all with olives. Now the sailors came and told him, "We will sail on the morning tide." And they took the olives away in a wagon to store in the hold of the ship. But the old gardener had fallen ill. He was so ill, hot with fever, out of his head. He was calling Qamar his son, and Qamar could not leave him. The sailors said, "We cannot wait for you." And Qamar said, "Go, go, I cannot leave him." And he nursed the old man through his last agonizing breaths. And then he made sure that he was buried with all the proper rituals and observances. And then he wept, for the ship was gone. Now the ship was sailing to the island where Princess Budur reigned as king. It was a great occasion when any merchant's ship came in, and she sent word down to the harbor to have the merchant come up and tell her what goods he had brought. "Oh," said the merchant, "I have brought the finest olives ever seen. Olives are rarely seen in this land, and I will give you a good price for the owner of the olives. He could not come with the ship." And the olives were brought in, and Princess Budar loved olives. She said, "I will take them all." And she had all the jars brought into her private chamber. When the merchant was gone, she opened them up and spooned out a spoonful, but under the olives, there were gold pieces. She opened the next jar and spooned out the olives. There was the red gem. She knew who the owner of these olives were. She sent her soldiers quickly down and dragged the merchant back, and she said, "The owner of these olives has done me a great injustice. You send your ship back to get him, and I will hold you here, and if they do not come back, I will have you put to death." The merchant ordered his sailors back to the island where they had gotten the olives. And Princess Budar told Hayat that she thought at last she would be reunited with her husband. The ship with no cargo made record time, and the sailors ran through the streets, and they grabbed Prince Qamar, who insisted that he didn't even know the king of these islands, and let alone had done him an injustice. But they did not listen. They tied him up, strung him on a pole, and carried him back to the ship and threw him in the hold. When they got back to the island where Princess Budar reigned as king, he was dragged up to the palace. He did not recognize his wife. He hardly dared look in the face of such a king who had great power over him. She rewarded the merchant well, told him his ship was free to go. Then she ordered her attendants to take Prince Qamar to the baths and bathe him and dress him in the finest robes available. And she went to Hayat and she said, "I have a plan. I am going to do a little story that will be written about and read by kings and commoners for the rest of time." When Qamar was bathed and perfumed and his hair oiled and dressed, he was irresistible. And the king came to him and told him that he had set aside lands outside the city that would be his, acres of olive trees, herds of camels and horses. And Qamar thought, "Why is he rewarding me like this? These are the things you would give an older, honored man, but not me. Why?" And he said, "Sire, I do not know why you heap these gifts upon me. I only need your leave to go and seek my wife." And the king said, "I give you these things because I love you." And he came close to the young man and he put his arm around him, and Qamar went, Oh, no, sire. No, I do not do things like this. It is a sin." "You are not even in your majority yet," said the king. "Allah will forgive you." Oh, no, sire, I could not. "Just once," said the king. "I am, after all, the king." And Qamar realized he was in this man's power, and he said, "All right, just once." And the king led him into the chamber and bid the young man disrobe. And when he had climbed into bed with him, Qamar was weeping. His cheeks were flushed and blushing as hard as he could, and tears were streaming from his eyes. And the king said, "Slide your hand down lower." And Qamar did, and then he was puzzled, and he said, "Sire, you do not seem to be equipped as other men." And then Princess Budar began to laugh. And at the sound of that laughter, Qamar recognized his wife, and they fell into a deep and long embrace. And when finally they parted, he said, "Oh, my love, I have found you, but why did you play that cruel trick upon me?" "Oh," she said, "do not chide me. I only did it to increase our enjoyment." And when they were dressed, she introduced Qamar to Hayat, and she said, "This is my wife. She has been loyal. She has kept my secret. I would like you to take her as a second wife." No, as a first wife, and I will be the second wife." And Hayat, who was dazzled by this beautiful young man, agreed. And they went to her father. And when they had finally made him understand that the man that he thought was his daughter's husband was really this man's wife, and that the king really should be this man, and when he had gotten his head around all this, he agreed that it was such a story, that it should be written in gold for the ages. And he agreed to the marriage of his daughter to Qamar. So Qamar al-Zerman married Hayat. She was his first wife. And Princess Budar was his second, and he loved them each in turn, one night for this one, and one night for the other. Now I wish I could tell you that their travails were all over, and that life went along smoothly. But indeed, it was not to be. This is only halfway through the story of Qamar, al-Zerman, and his 2 sons. We have only now got to the 2 wives, but that is a story for another night.